rain began just after midnight, hammering against the windows of Daniel Mercer's car as he drove deeper into the forgotten countryside. The GPS had stopped working nearly 20 miles ago, and the narrow road ahead twisted through dead trees like a black serpent. Then, through the storm, he saw it, Blackthorn Manor. The house stood on the hill like a corpse refusing to rot, its shattered windows staring down at him like hollow eyes. Villagers had warned him never to go near it, whispering stories of vanished families, screams in the night, and shadows that moved without bodies. But Daniel was a paranormal investigator, and fear was the reason his audience watched him. As thunder cracked across the sky, he stepped out of the car, pointed his camera toward the mansion, and said, "Tonight, we finally uncover the truth behind the most haunted house in America." The rusted gates groaned open on their own before he even touched them. Daniel froze for a second, forcing a nervous laugh for the camera, though his pulse was racing. The path leading to the manor was lined with broken angel statues covered in moss, their faces chipped away as if someone had deliberately destroyed them. Every step toward the house felt heavier, like the ground itself was resisting him. When he reached the front door, he noticed deep claw marks carved into the wood. They weren't scratches made by animals. They looked human. Before he could think twice, the door slowly creaked inward, revealing darkness thick enough to swallow light whole. Inside, the air smelled of mildew and something worse, something rotten. His flashlight beam swept across faded portraits hanging crooked on the walls. The faces in the paintings seemed strangely lifelike, their eyes almost glistening in the dark. Daniel walked cautiously through the grand hallway while narrating for his viewers, but his voice echoed unnaturally, repeating itself seconds later in distorted whispers. Then he heard it, footsteps above him. Slow, heavy, deliberate. He called out, expecting squatters or maybe another investigator. No answer came. Only silence, followed by a child's laughter drifting from upstairs. Against his better judgment, Daniel climbed the staircase. Each step creaked beneath his boots like brittle bones snapping. The second-floor hallway stretched endlessly before him, lined with closed doors. At the far end stood a little girl in a white dress. Her black hair hung over her face, and she clutched a ragged teddy bear stained dark around its mouth. Daniel's throat tightened. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked softly. The girl tilted her head at an unnatural angle, almost 90 degrees, and pointed toward a nearby room. Before he could move, she vanished. Not ran, not hid. Vanished. The temperature around him dropped instantly, and his camera flickered with static. The room the girl pointed toward was a nursery frozen in time. Dust covered everything except for a rocking chair moving gently by itself. Daniel aimed the flashlight toward the walls and felt his stomach twist. Scratched into the wallpaper over and over were the words, "Don't let her out." Suddenly the rocking chair stopped. Complete silence filled the room. Then the closet door creaked open. Daniel slowly approached, every instinct screaming at him to run. Inside the closet hung dozens of old children's clothes, and behind them, hidden in darkness, stood a pale woman with empty black eyes and a smile stretched impossibly white across her face. Daniel stumbled backward, knocking over the camera tripod. The woman darted forward unnaturally fast, stopping inches from him. Her skin looked waterlogged, as if she had drowned years ago. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered in a voice layered with multiple others, speaking at once. Daniel grabbed his equipment and bolted from the nursery, his breathing ragged. But as he ran down the hallway, every door around him slammed shut one after another. Bang, bang, bang. The sound echoed like gunshots through the mansion. Then the child's laughter returned, louder this time. circling him from every direction. Desperate to escape, Daniel rushed downstairs into what appeared to be the dining hall. A massive table sat in the center covered with moldy plates and rotting food that somehow looked freshly served. At the head of the table sat a tall figure in a black suit. Its face was hidden in shadow, but Daniel could hear wet chewing sounds. Slowly, the figure raised its head. Its mouth stretched unnaturally wide, filled with jagged teeth chewing pieces of raw flesh. Daniel backed away in horror as the figure spoke. "Stay for dinner." The candles around the room suddenly ignited by themselves, revealing dozens of ghostly figures seated around the table, all staring directly at him. Daniel sprinted toward the kitchen, but the house itself seemed alive now. Hallways changed direction. Doors led back to the same rooms. The walls pulsed faintly like breathing skin. He checked his phone, no signal. Battery draining rapidly despite being fully charged minutes earlier. Then his camera screen flickered to life on its own, showing footage not from the present, but from decades ago. A family stood in the same kitchen, terrified and screaming as dark shadows dragged them into the floor. Their screams distorted into static before their screen went black again. While searching for another exit, Daniel discovered an old basement door hidden beneath a rug. The handle was ice cold. As he pulled it open, a foul smell rose from below. The staircase descended deep underground into darkness, untouched by light. Gathering what little courage he had left, he went down. The basement walls were covered with strange symbols painted in dried blood. In the center of the room stood a stone altar surrounded by candles that were somehow still burning. Resting on the altar was an old journal belonging to the manor's original owner, Eleanor Blackthorn. The journal revealed the horrifying truth. Eleanor had become obsessed with immortality after losing her daughter to illness. She turned to forbidden rituals, summoning something ancient from the darkness beneath the house. At first, the entity promised to bring her child back. Instead, it possessed the girl's body and slaughtered everyone in the manor. The entity fed on fear and trapped the souls of anyone who entered Blackthorn Manor afterward, according to the final pages. The only way to stop it was to destroy the heart hidden beneath the altar. But the last sentence made Daniel's blood run cold. "Knows when you read this." A loud thud echoed behind him. Daniel slowly turned around and saw the pale woman from the nursery standing at the basement stairs. Beside her stood the little girl, and behind them were dozens of twisted figures emerging from the shadows. Their bodies cracked and contorted unnaturally as they crawled closer. Daniel grabbed a rusted hammer lying near the altar and smashed the stone repeatedly. Cracks spread across it as the entire basement shook violently. The creatures shrieked in agony, their screams piercing his ears like knives. Then the altar split open, revealing a black, pulsating heart beating slowly inside. The house erupted with chaos. Walls cracked. Pipes burst. The spirits screamed all around him. Daniel raised the hammer one final time and brought it down onto the heart. The moment it shattered, every light in the basement exploded. A deafening roar filled the manor as shadows twisted violently through the air before being sucked into darkness. For one brief moment, Daniel saw the little girl smiling peacefully before she faded away. Then the entire mansion began collapsing around him. Daniel barely escaped as Blackthorn Manor crumbled into flames behind him. Rain poured from the sky as he fell to his knees in the mud, coughing and trembling. His camera still recorded beside him, capturing the burning remains of the cursed house. He thought it was over. He thought the nightmare had ended. But when he reviewed the footage later that night, his blood turned to ice. Standing in the upstairs window of the burning manor was the little girl in the white dress, staring directly into the camera. Smiling,